Hello, scholars, and welcome to week 5, POL451, Executive Leadership and Management in the Public Sector. It's hard to imagine, but we're already through 4 weeks of this, and as we start on the downhill side of this course in week 5, our focus this week is going to be on encouraging the heart, such a powerful leadership concept. In the readings this week and in your own lives, you're going to probably realize that when we talk about encouraging the heart, we're talking about that personal connection where you as a leader can make that personal connection to an individual far beyond that of the organization to encourage them not by their production, not by their results, but through their hearts and their determination and what they're able to accomplish. And the rewards of understanding the power that of encouraging the heart has can far exceed that of many of the other traits, because you are going to tap into that individual at a much more personal level. And oftentimes we see that the effort and the results of that sort of connection has a very powerful response, or the individual has a very powerful response. So I look forward to our discussions. I believe encouraging the heart carries all the way carries over into next week as well. So we got a couple good weeks of week 5 here and week 6. So if we look at some of the topics we have here, we have some reading, we got a lecture, and then we have a discussion board, a test, and another application exercise. And all these are due on day 7. And by this point of this course, I believe a lot of you have figured out the late assignment policy and the way that I implement the late policy. But just as a reminder, that all of our assignments here in week 5 are going to be due at Sunday at 11:59. And if you have any issues, if you have any emergencies, if there's any problems by meeting that deadline, you need to contact me prior. Give me an email, and we can typically work through any issues that you might be dealing with in your life. But hopefully you're not dealing with a whole lot of issues, and you're able to meet those deadlines. And once again, Sunday 11:59 are all these assignments. So I added a devotional for you to read through this week. I hope you enjoy. We have our week 5 quiz, which is going to be based upon chapter 10, recognizing contributions. And then there's the week 5 lecture that highlights some of the key points. Once again, if I were you, I'd look through the lecture, do the readings, and then take the quiz. The quiz, 5 to 10 multiple choice, true, false, and short answers. It is not timed, but must finish the quiz in one session. So put some time management into place and allocate yourself a block of time to take that quiz. Then we look at our application exercise this week. And I'm just going to open up our application exercise here. And once again, due June 10th, 11:59, 25 points possible. Think of a time when as a direct result of something a leader said or did, you felt personally powerful and capable. Write down the actions the leader took that contributed to your feeling powerful, strong, capable, and effective. Mastering of your own experiences. Share that experience and be as specific as you can. Now think of a time that you felt powerless, weak, and insignificant as a result of something a leader said or did. What specifically did he or she do? So there's 2 questions there. I'd like you to answer those questions in a nice scholarly fashion. Remember, these application exercise are more of a conversation between you and myself. They're not shared with anybody else, and it's an informal conversation as opposed to some of our formal writings where we're going to want to really focus on, citations and references and APA formatting. This isn't that case. Obviously, there isn't a lot that you're going to cite or need to reference, but this is a casual conversation between yourself and mine. I'd like to hear what these individuals did or did not do that made you feel either powerless or powerful. And what I really want to see is the contrast between those two, and how could we learn, and what was it that specifically on the actions of the individual, that leader that was supposed to be leading you, that either made you powerful or didn't. And those are the things we're going to want to focus on and really articulate, because that is what we're going to try to change behavior-wise as we move forward as leaders, so that we would never put someone in the situation that you were. And as we often learn in life, it's when we go through these bad experiences that make us so much stronger. And I believe the same goes true for leadership. We oftentimes learn much more from a bad leader than we do from a good leader, because with a good leader, sometimes that those attributes are expected, And from a bad leader, they just stand out. And oftentimes, I know in my personal career, many of the people that I interacted with, I thought to myself, that is going to, or there, that is going to be a person that I don't want to emulate. That is a certain behavioral trait that I don't want to emulate when I become a leader. And I know that we store all those in and we make that combination of the good and the bad, and we put that all together, and that makes our individual leadership type. So there's your week 5 application exercise. Once again, June 10th. And then we finally have our discussion board this week. In this discussion board, are leaders born or are they trained to lead? Create your post and comment on one of your other classmates. Um, and the reason I have one of your other classmates this week, it's because I've kind of already included the question. The question. So you can somewhat base upon mine, add to it, and then one additional. So, and then the question this week is, your text approaches this question from distinct positions. KMP contend that anyone can be a leader if you subscribe to the method of effectively leading people. Yuki approaches leadership from an academic survey that studies the behavior, traits, tendencies, and results of leaders. Yuki explores rather extensively how people can utilize tactics that will yield effective leadership. But it also examines the traits of persons who inherently possess the personality traits that attract followers. Natural charismatic leaders are this way. What is your opinion? Are leaders made or are they born? So there is my question for you. And then I would like you to build onto that thread with your opinion and then comment on one of the others. So that would be like the original post, my original post, your original post, and comment on one of your classmates. And it's an important conversation. It is one that is highly debated, mostly because many of us, if we look at the concept that you need to have these natural characteristics, these naturally born characteristics that especially when it comes to charisma, that is going to be a very difficult trait for some people. We have some individuals that are inherently very inverted. Uh, they're they're not an extrovert by nature. Their personality is much more subdued, and they're not going to be the individual that feels comfortable or will probably ever feel comfortable in front of a group leading. They're not the natural charismatic individual that walks in and can enlighten and get the results or the attention of others. And then, so if you think that if you go by that you have to be born with this trait, and that is the trait of a leader, then my goodness, there would be a lot of us that will never be able to be leaders. As opposed to our leadership challenge, where we see quite the opposite, where we look at individuals and in the leadership experience to see that all of these steps that we follow, if we can follow these steps, then we can ultimately make and learn these attributes of a good leader. So I want to ask you that: are they born or are they made, or is it a combination of the two? And I would like to really hear about the extremes. Do we believe that everybody could be a leader if given the opportunity, the education, and an environment? Or as opposed, or would if you gave that same individual that same circumstance where they have the knowledge, they have the books, they're in an environment that's nourishing, that people want to be led, would they still not have the abilities just based upon their natural God-given tendencies of their personalities? So once again, your comment and the post of one other. So that is going to be our discussion board this week. If we go back to our learning activities, we here in week 5, just as a quick review, we see that we have our quiz, our week 5 application exercise, and our week 5 discussion board. So we have those 3 exercises, or the 3 deliverables that I need from you. So we had a really good week in week 4. Your wiki presentations were excellent. They're all graded. Everything should be updated into the grade book. The only concern that I had is for many of us, we need to make that transition into academic writing. Academic writing. And what I mean by academic writing is that if you are going to be submitting unoriginal material, that is material that you have looked, you've researched, you found in journals, you found on the internet, you found in your book, you need to cite that information. And that isn't a bad thing that you're citing information. That is what is expected of you as an academic writer. We ask for references. We want you to cite various sources of information throughout this course. So a portion of academic writing is finding research, like research that you can put into your projects, and that is completely acceptable. And it's not only acceptable, but it's required. But what also is required is that anytime that you are going to reference a material, we need to reference it and we need to do an in-text citation of that. And for many of you, I would say that this is where we came up a little short on the Wiki project. And if you think about it, the Wiki project is nothing more than citations. You were presenting information on someone. None of that would be original material. Almost all of that would be cited information. So you just need to cite that information, and that's going to be a quality that we're going to need to enhance for many of us as we move forward. Many of your courses here are going to involve academic writing that requires research, and you just need to hone those skills of finding references and using in-text citation. Purdue OWL is kind of the go-to for many people on how to cite and how to reference that APA formatting that we often use. So we're going to want to, if you had trouble with that, you're going to want to look up those resources, how to properly cite with APA formatting. Like I said, Purdue OWL is an excellent resource. The Writing Center here at Cal Baptist under your student resources is also an excellent resource. But we need to get that in, and kind of the concept that I always keep to mind, and remember that I'm in your same shoes, that I'm writing papers just like you are on a weekly basis. That if it's unoriginal material, it just needs to be cited, and that frees us of the concept of plagiarism, and it enhances our academic writing because you're sharing the observations of the scholars that have done the research on this material before you. So just keep that in mind. With that, that was probably the only issue I had this week with your wiki projects. For the most part, they were excellent. You guys, the group as a whole, chose excellent individuals, many of which I wasn't all that familiar with. So it's always exciting for me to read through those and gain some knowledge based upon what you're presenting to me. And with the exception of just some APA formatting, that will get us all right up to speed, and that will set the stage for our critical assignments, where we're going to have to be doing some additional academic writing. So with that being said, a very successful week 4. Now that we're transitioning into week 5, I expect nothing but the same. If you have any issues, concerns, comments, as we move forward today and in days to come, always email me as soon as possible, and we will deal with whatever issues, comments, concerns that you might have. So I hope that you all have a blessed week and have an enjoyable week. I'll be thinking about all of you, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.